Canelo, you a bitch. I'm putting it out there.
What I do, YouTube? It's your boy King David in this thing, and I'm back at y'all again with another video. So before I get going on this video, man, I'm gonna need all y'all to go ahead and hit the like button. And if you're new here, go ahead and subscribe one time for your boy so we can continue to grow like we need to grow on this channel. Alright, so cool with all that out the window, man. Y'all see what the title of the video is. You know what I'm saying? Canelo Alvarez's next opponent. You know what I mean? So I actually happen to know exactly who Canelo's next opponent is. You know what I'm saying? I know exactly who it is, man. Do y'all want to know? Of course you do. That's why you're listening to the video. Okay, so Canelo's next opponent is the easiest possible opponent that he can get into the ring. So I know that's gonna trigger some people, man, but I mean, it's just the truth. The facts are, Canelo Alvarez has a track record of picking the easiest possible opponents that he can get into the ring. I mean, let's think about it. Up until recently, we were all under the impression that he was getting ready to fight this Makabu dude at cruiserweight, a punching bag with a title. But recent news has proved that this Makabu dude has a mandatory coming up with the WBC, and as a result, he won't be ready to fight Canelo Alvarez, considering the fact that his title will be in question. So for that reason, it actually puts the Canelo Makabu fight in jeopardy. But you know what, man? Considering that is the easiest possible opponent that Canelo Alvarez can go after right now, I still got a lot of hope and a lot of faith that this fight is actually going to happen. There's a lot of people that's talking about Charlo and Joe Smith Jr. and all these other guys, and we're going to talk about them in a second. There's a lot of people that's talking about these guys, but honestly, in my mind, this Makabu fight is happening next. Point blank, period. You know what I'm saying? I mean, honestly and truly, man, I mean, we're talking about Canelo Alvarez here. We're talking about a guy that the WBC changed their entire rules on drugs for. We're talking about a guy that the WBC made a whole belt for. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about a whole guy that the WBC created an entire weight division for this guy. You know what I mean? So you mean to tell me that the WBC is gonna somehow step in the way of a potential fight between Canelo Alvarez and Makabu? You know what I'm saying? I mean, we just saw Earl Spence pull out Dennis Ugas fight out of his ass. You know what I'm saying? Even though the WBA had an entire tournament in line. You know what I'm saying? They had a whole schedule of fights that was supposed to be for the WBA title, but somehow, some way, Earl Spence manages to still get the fight with Dennis Ugas despite that. So with these facts in mind, you really expect me to believe that somehow the WBC is going to step in the way of Canelo Alvarez in an opponent he's already shared with the public that he's interested in fighting? I mean, you know, honestly, if I had to put money on it, I would say that it's Makabu. But at the end of the day, again, it's going to be the easiest possible opponent that he can get his hands on. You know what I mean? Well, let's say that this Makabu fight doesn't work out, right? Let's say that it doesn't work out for whatever reason. Let's say that the Mando thing does stick, right? Well, I mean, Canelo Alvarez has all the options in the world. I mean, honestly, there's not a fighter out there who has more options than Canelo Alvarez. So his options really are to either go super duper easy with his next fight and fight some extreme cherry pick, or step in the ring versus some pretty credible guys, but the weakest of the credible guys that he has available. Case in point, the easiest possible guys that he can get in front of him that may offer him some level of credibility should he be able to get the stipulation and the terms the way he likes it in order for him to feel comfortable enough to step in the ring versus these guys. And you guys know what I'm talking about. The rehydration clauses, okay, the small rings, all these different things that Canelo Alvarez needs in his favor in order to jump in the ring, right? So say the Mechaboo fight doesn't happen, right? Joe Smith Jr. and Jermall Charlo fit that criteria perfectly, right? Because the other guys in the division are Artur Beterbiev, Dimitri Bivol, Demetrius Andrade, David Benavidez, and we know for a fact that Canelo Alvarez isn't going to fight any of those guys, so we can only assume that it will be between Jermall Charlo and Joe Smith Jr. Now, here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. I actually like both of those fights. I like them. Although they're the weakest of Canelo's possible or potential opponents, they're still very good fights. Joe Smith Jr., he'd be moving up in weight, and it would be his first move up in weight at 175 pounds to fight Joe Smith Jr. Joe Smith Jr. isn't 38 years old like Sergey Kovalev, okay? And I know Kovalev was probably like 36 or 37, but he was still old. But Joe Smith Jr. is not 38. He's a pretty young dude. He's a pretty strong dude. And it would still make for a good fight. And then you have Jermall Charlo, who would be moving up in his first fight up to 168 pounds from 160 pounds. And that would also make for a good fight. You know what I mean? I gotta say, though, in regards to the Jermall Charlo fight, man, it's a lot of cappery going on online when it comes to Jermall Charlo. It seems that when this fight had gone into the official rumor mill stage, right? Because we all know that all these fights go into the rumor mill stage. It seemed that when the Jermall Charlo fight entered the rumor mill stage, the Canelo Alvarez fanboyism went to 100,000, right? It went to like... fanboyism went to 9,000, right? And everybody predicted that Canelo Alvarez would somehow be able to flatten Jermall Charlo. And I'm just trying to figure out, when has Canelo Alvarez ever ran through an A or B level fighter in his career? You know what I mean? Every A or B level fighter that Canelo has been in the ring with, he's either gotten his ass whooped, in the case of Floyd Mayweather, or got a controversial / gift decision versus them. In the case of Austin Trout, in the case of Landy Lara, in the case of Triple G. Okay? Jermall Charlo, although you may not like him, at very least would be considered a B-level opponent, which would make him a class above Billy Joe Saunders, Caleb Plant, Abner Yildirim, 2 classes above him. Rocky Fielding, 2 classes above him. Callum Smith, 2 classes above him. You know what I mean? Even going up in weight. You know what I mean? So I think I say all that to say this, man. At the end of the day, man, it's like this for me and Canelo Alvarez and Canelo Alvarez fanboys. At the end of the day, it's like this, man. I just want to see a real fight. I just want to see Canelo Alvarez in a real fight. I want to see him in the ring with top quality opposition. I want to see him in there with guys that could potentially beat him. Because that's what boxing is about. That's what sports is about. Competitive. It's about the competitive nature of things, right? It's about competition. If I know what's going to happen, there's no competition. There's no competitiveness. You know? So I want to see Canelo Alvarez in the ring with competitive guys. You know? I just doubt that shit is going to actually happen. Now, I really feel like Canelo's next opponent is going to be this Mechaboo dude, but that all remains to be seen. You know what I mean? You know? And, you know, I know a lot of Canelo Alvarez fans, man. Y'all gonna come on here. Y'all gonna be like, oh, he's a Canelo hater. I know how you dudes operate already, man. He's a Canelo hater. He's this, he's that. Whatever. I know what you do. But at the end of the day, I could back up everything that I say with logic that you can follow, with facts. Canelo Alvarez is moving up. His first choice in fight was to move up 2 weight classes to fight a Makabu, a guy that no one's ever heard of. Canelo Alvarez decided to go undisputed in the weight division that nobody wanted to see him go undisputed in. We wanted undisputed at 154. We wanted undisputed at 160. But nobody gave a fuck about 168. Why? Because no one was there to challenge him. You know what I mean? These are facts. There was no one there who anyone said, oh, that would be a good fight for Canelo. No, nobody at 168. David Benavidez is there, and now we want to see that fight because he's emerged as a good top quality fighter for somebody like a Canelo Alvarez to get in the ring with. But at the end of the day, that ain't what we wanted. You know, we didn't want the 168 run. And now that David Benavidez is there, now Canelo has to move up in weight, knowing that there's a big fight for him at 168 pounds. I mean, make it make sense to me, y'all. In any case, Canelo's next opponent will more than likely be the easiest possible opponent that he can get in the ring with. That said, I'm hoping it's one of the tougher of the easiest possible fights that he can get, which will be a Jermall Charlo. Okay? Because I actually think that would be a good fight. I actually think that I would actually be interested in watching that fight and would actually pay for a pay-per-view. And that is something I have not been willing to say about a Canelo Alvarez fight since Mayweather, really. Because I wasn't even interested in a Triple G fight, given the fact that Triple G has been running from certain fighters in his division. So, I mean, you know, that's where I'm at with this whole thing, man. Hopefully we get to see the big fights. Hopefully we get to see the real fights. At the end of the day, I want to see a real fight. And y'all should want to see a real fight as boxing fans. You know what I'm saying? But I'm going to go ahead and end the video here, man. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe to the channel one time for your boy. Everybody, and I do mean everybody, hit that like button one time for your boy, man. But I'm going to holler at y'all on the next one. Peace.
Oh, man. Thank you, my man. Thank you. Thank you.
Big fan.
Thank you.
What's up, though?
I know that.
When can we make it happen, though? What do you think?
Man, you fight with nobody. Hey, you are a champion, but you... What?
Wait, you avoided that fight?
Hey, you fight with nobody, man. You won You won the belt with nobody.
Okay,
Man,
a lot of people
get the fuck out of here, man. Please, get the fuck out of here, man. It's my night. Who I'm fighting?
Not the
Get the fuck out of here, man. Get the fuck out of here.
get out of here. Why the fuck you? Yeah, don't talk to my dad like that. Hey, fuck you. We don't get this.
Hey, get the fuck out of here because I'm gonna fuck you up right now.
Come up here. Come. Get out of here. Be a bitch.
Oh, look
Fuck
at
you.
this guy.
Fuck you. Alright? You that tough? Your mouth?
Hey,
You that tough?
get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here.
Congratulations, bro. What's your mouth? What's your fucking mouth? What's your mouth, bro?
Hey,
There you go, guys, please.
What? Hey, what?
hey, you're a horrible fighter, man. You never gonna get the fight, man. You're a horrible fighter. Horrible fighter. Horrible fighter.
Come beat me, bro. Come beat me then.
Okay, next question.
Canelo, you a bitch. I'm putting it out there.